All right then. Hello, welcome to another edition of Shoot the Defense on FNX. I'm your host Stel, and I'm not joined by Yannickis tonight, and I'm not joined by Rhodri Giggs. Rhodri is on his way. He's probably gone to get another meat pie or something that he does every now and again. Although I think he's going to go fish and chips tonight. I don't know why. I call it a hunch. So this is an international special. And I call it an international special because you have to be special to enjoy these pointless breaks in club football. But my co-host this evening, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce Coach Kojo and Basil from the Three Midfield podcast. Gents, how you guys doing?
I'm doing great.
Yeah,
pleasure to be here.
We're very happy to be here again.
It's a pleasure that you guys said it at exactly the same time. That's how I know you guys are so excited to be on this ridiculously insane show of mine.
Well, we all know that the international break is the most exciting period in the football calendar out of all competitions, whether it be league or international competitions. So, hey.
Well, I described it as watching an abortion. Although,
oh my God, okay,
I've never seen an abortion before. I'm just saying that's how it feels. But then again, given England's performance tonight and the way that the game panned out, it wasn't too bad, to be fair. Did you guys watch the game?
Yeah, I was quite taken aback by that first half. I wasn't sure that England would be playing well, and then out of nowhere they just hit Spain for 3. I was like, whoa, this is crazy to watch, but I'm happy, and I'm happy particularly for Rashford because Rashford has been in very indifferent form. But for England today, he was good all over the pitch and topped off with a goal as well. So yeah, I'm happy to see him performing well. Hopefully, he does it on Saturday.
That's the first half. I haven't seen Spain blitz in the first half like that before. I remember they got battered at the World Cup in Brazil by the Dutch in the second half, and they played off the park, literally off the park. In fact, out of the country, didn't they? But yeah, it was a fantastic performance by England in the first half. And Basil, what did you make of Raheem Sterling? Because he's taken a lot of stick lately, especially from the Daily Mail. I think he's going to put some writers out of business, isn't he?
He's definitely going to put a few writers out of business. It was a funny performance because I think it's the first time he scored a goal for England in like 3 years. And I think the only thing you ask him now is consistency. I think it's nice to score 2 goals against Spain, but can he do it for like the next 2 or 3 games for England? Because there's been a lot of people calling for his head to be removed from the England starting lineup and saying he just doesn't offer enough, which is a fair point if you watch him at times for England. But yeah, I'm happy that he scored these 2 goals today. I mean, the first one was an absolutely great finish, but I did not expect from Sterling because I do consider him one of the worst finishers in the game. Even though he does score a lot of goals, I do believe a lot of the goals are tap-ins. But it was nice to see a nice and clinical finish for him for the first goal.
No, that was right top bin as well. You don't save those.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, you don't save those at all. Maybe if you're Manuel Neuer, you save those. If you're De Gea, maybe it goes in.
Manuel Neuer, I don't know about that. Germany are a bit of a rut at the moment as well, but we'll go into those lot later. Those lot. I sound proper Brexit. I don't know that lot. we'll go into the Germans later. Kojo, tell me something, mate. Gareth Southgate, he loves bringing in youngsters. As you can see, he's given loads of debuts since turning up. Do you think he's the right man to take England forward?
With the youngsters, yeah, because he's built a rapport with them, and he's starting to find a balance within the England squad. So the bringing back in of Ross Barkley, who I give credit to Sarri this year for integrating him back into the Chelsea side properly, because obviously it wasn't really part of Conte's plans, if we're really honest. You can see that there's a structure to England now, and everyone knows their role. It's just about now bringing the quality forward to try and win games, because we always said that England lack quality. But these young players, along with the guys much younger, the under 17s, under 20s that have been winning tournaments, it's only good that you have a manager that knows how to bring them into the team. And I feel like if he continues on this path of bringing these youngsters in at a nice pace, not rushing them in, not throwing youngsters in all the time because they're doing well. Sometimes you've got to take your time and pace it. And bringing in Sancho was a good idea, for example. If you just pace it and he does it the right way, then they'll be fine. And he can actually Well, I was going to say win a tournament. That's a lie. More just exceed the expectations that we have here. You know, England were a quarter-final side. Maybe make them a semi-final side, or maybe a runner-up. You know, something like that. If he can get to a final, that'd be great. He's doing well so far. So far, he's the right man for the job. So far.
Basil, what do you reckon?
I don't know if he's the right man for the job. I mean, he had a decent World Cup. I don't think England really played any real quality of football in the World Cup, if I'm being honest. But you have to give credit where credit is due. He still made it to the semi-final. And I think he does deserve to sort of lead England to the next tournament. My only issue with Gareth is I don't know the criteria as to which players are receiving caps for. It just seems now if you're English and played 1 or 2 games, you receive a cap. I mean, someone like Jordan Sancho, I know Michael mentioned him earlier, I don't think he should be selected for the England squad. He hasn't even played an under-21 game. I think, there should be a process as to which, you receive an England cap. I think, one, you should be established at your club first and foremost, because the majority of the games he's come on for Dortmund has come from the bench. And second, I think you should do your rounds at the youth levels before you actually get your senior caps. So I think that's where I sort of question Gareth Southgate. I think he does like to chop and change his squad a lot. Not too sure why. Maybe he's still giving people auditions, but I think he's been there for over 2 years and he should have sort of a stable England squad. And I'm not too sure if he knows what his best 11 is. But I think so far he's done well. I think he's kept the mood calm for England between the fans and the media. And I don't know. It remains to be seen. I'll be interested to see how he does in the Euros before I can say whether he's the right man to lead England forward. But he's done a decent job so far, and I have no complaints about what he's achieved.
Well, look, he got England as far as he possibly could, to be fair, at the World Cup. And, the last time I remember England getting anywhere close to that was Italia 90 and then Euro 96. And I was 9 during Italia 90, so that shows my age. But, watching England get that far, I mean, let's be 100% honest. I don't mean to piss on their parade or anything, but it was a very basic path, wasn't it, to the semi-finals?
Yeah.
Not make any bones about it. Harry Kane got the golden boot, but let's be honest, man. Who did he score? It might sound bad. I know people are going to say to me, you can only score against who's been put in front, and Lukaku did the same, and yada yada. And I understand that, and I agree. But crying out loud, man, Panama. I mean, one of the goals he didn't even realise he scored.
100% agree with you there. And I always say this to people, I was like, when you look back at past Golden Boot winners, you can show highlights reels of the goals they scored. If I was Harry Kane, I wouldn't take no pride whatsoever if they showed a highlight reel of the goals he scored in the last World Cup tournament. I mean, 3 of them were like penalties. 1 of them hit his ankle. He knew nothing about. 2 of them were tap-ins. Yes, you scored the goals, but I think there should be a pride as to the type of goals you score when you receive that type of accolade.
See, the thing is, Oleg Salenko scored 5 goals against Cameroon at USA 94. I don't think the Russians are still banging on about that, are they?
No, they're not.
Mind you, the Russians are banging on other things like, I'm not going to go into that, but...
Oh, no.
I can't really say anything because, it's like, you don't upset them because they poison you. You could be 20,000 miles away. Putin's got...
Oh, what are you doing to me?
Well, let's talk about Spain because, let's be 100% honest, gents. It's a very underwhelming squad. I don't think they're as special as people make them out to be. About the whole tiki-taka football and, playing triangles and closing people down and yada, yada, yada. But if you take Sergio Ramos out of that team and possibly Busquets, they're bang average, aren't they?
Spain. I feel like Spain are starting to lose their identity a little bit. But I think the thing was, at that era when they had their greatest time, you had a lot of Barcelona influence and Pep influence inside that in terms of how you had Busquets, Xavi, Iniesta and a free, and then you had Piqué and Puyol. You had David Villa. You had a core that was all Barcelona, and you had Victor Valdez. So I mean, you had players that knew what to do together, what they had to do on the pitch. There was that cohesion there. Right now, they look so lost because their 2 successful sides don't have that Spanish core that led to that success. And you know, you look at the team now. Yeah, you're right to an extent of it is underwhelming. They've still got some good talent in there. You know, Asensio, Thiago, Paco is a decent striker, but you know they don't compare to what they had before, and they've struggled ever since their last tournament win. They got spun by the Dutch. They got spun in the Euros. They were spun again in the World Cup recently. So they look a bit lost. And I think that they're just chopping and changing of managers recently. And Luis Enrique, I don't think is someone that's going to take them forward. I always have an issue with managers that just go from club straight to international without. I mean, that's the only way you can do it. You can't manage another top international side. And he's going off reputation. But after he got sacked at Barcelona, he hasn't done anything. Man, I feel like he's not the manager to take them forward. But again, I don't know who is.
Yeah, it's a strange one because I watched them under Lepatogi, if that's how you pronounce his name. So I just watched their friendlies, obviously before the World Cup, and they looked fantastic. The way they moved the ball around quickly. I think they weren't as clinical in the final third, but just the phases of football under Lepatogi was very good. And their biggest mistake was actually sacking him just before the tournament. Because I felt that, yes, they still had the players to do something in the World Cup, but you're talking about fine details, about making tactical changes. You know, what instructions can you give to players when things aren't going their way? And Herrera was never the person to ever make that decision. Under Luis Enrique, he likes to break very quickly and transition very quickly in attack. But I think, as you said, they are losing their identities. That in those moments where you need to slow down the game, pass and move, keep the ball, sort of be smarter with the ball. I'm not too sure Spain have that anymore, and I think they're trying to find what suits them at this time and moment, and it just doesn't seem to be working for them.
See, the thing is, the whole Lopetegui situation was a big clusterfuck, wasn't it? Because
Yeah.
he took them to a World Cup. He was there training with them, taking coaching sessions and whatnot. And then all of a sudden, he decides he's going to take the Real Madrid job. And that made his position untenable because he did it behind the Spanish FA's back. Now, you know, they're very they're very proud people, the Spanish FA, as we know.
Yeah.
They're so proud that they agreed a deal with Saudi Arabia to take some players over there. And they're so proud that they signed an agreement with an entertainment company to completely go against all their morals and play games in America. So proud, yeah. But they're so proud that they don't allow a manager to make the move of his dreams, regardless of whether he's national team manager or not. But anyway, that's by the by. From what I've been told and from what I understand, Fernando Hierro was actually the player's choice to come in to take the job full time. Now, Luis Enrique obviously has won the Champions League with Barcelona. He won La Liga. He won Copa del Rey. But let's be 100% honest. You know, if you or I could win it with that Barcelona team that they had. And when you got Suarez, Messi, and Neymar, yeah. Okay, I know it sounds so ignorant for me to say, but come on, everything was there for him. It was all there. You know, you keep Messi happy, you keep letting him drink cans of Coke in front of you, and he'll play. You know, we'll go into Messi later on because I've got a story about Maradona, but we'll go into that later. I'm still waiting for Rodri, by the way, to turn up. I don't know if he's listening on the Periscope or something. I saw him pop up in there, but anyway, whatever. Thanks to everyone listening on Periscope, by the way, and everyone that's live on YouTube. But anyway, let's talk about the England game against Croatia because, to be honest, Kojo, I think I should have waited until after the Spain game to fire these questions over to you because my original question was if Rashford wasn't so crap in situations where he has to think, England would be 3 points better off. And does the performance between England and Croatia prove their World Cup campaigns were flukes? And you can answer that one, can't you?
I can.
You can take tonight's into consideration as well. I don't mind.
Yeah, the ways about Rashford is I've always been an advocate of a player's form will pick up if they are they play consistently within a team. Now, within United, and we've seen it with him and Lukaku as well. When Lukaku's playing for Belgium, the goals flow. They flow. He's a different kind of player. It just looks very, very different from the player we see week in, week out at Man United. And I feel like Rashford, the thing with Rashford is he is very inconsistent, but he's still 20 years old. So for me, I don't think of him doing so much right now. But yeah, that is a problem. When you've got time to think, you shouldn't be doing the wrong things. That gives you more time to make the right decision, regardless of how old you are as a footballer. And we see it with players like Mbappe, who is just turned 19 or about to become 20. I can't remember which one it is. But his decision making is on another level. But it's because, one, I feel like he's getting more football. But two, because he's consistent on the pitch. That's why he gets more football. The game against Croatia, he was shocking. Like, it was... I screamed. I don't usually scream at the TV. Well, unless Friendies on the pitch. I don't usually scream on the TV at the TV. But I was screaming because those were chances that you finish off. You're 1-on-1 and you're shooting straight at the keeper. You're not finishing with a blom. You don't seem confident, you know? And then but today he's come in and the finish against De Gea was top level, you know, didn't waste time pointing to the other corner, didn't give him a chance. Same as Raheem Sterling. He's someone
he didn't have to think about it this time, Michael.
That's the thing. You know, he didn't have to think about it. He just thought, oh, it's here, I'm going to hit it. Which is, again, weird. But that's something that people like Mkhitaryan does as well. You know, when you give him time to think, he's like, he's a poor right winger that I've seen in my life. Oh, boy. There's plenty. I can't even think of one off.
Theo Walcott.
No, Theo. Okay, let's go with Theo Walcott. But then when he hasn't got time to think, he's a top player. So but again, it's something with footballers in this day and age that, you know, when they're given the time to use their brain, they don't know how to use it. So he can only improve, and I hope he improves. He has to improve that aspect of his game, because to be a top striker or a top winger, wherever the hell his position is, I don't think he still knows. You have to be able to make the right decisions at the right time.
Well, yeah, a lot of players act on instinct, and you tend to find a lot of the great strikers are instinctive. You talk about Klinsmann, Van Nistelrooy, all of these players, Van Basten, they're all instinctive footballers.
But when they had time, they were still brilliant.
Of course.
You know? Yeah.
And my main, I don't know, I guess my main gripe about Marcus Rashford is that he isn't prolific. And this is, I know people are going to say to me, oh, he doesn't play enough games and he doesn't play in his right position and whatnot, but I've seen him play a central striker's role. In fact, Jose Mourinho did that experiment in the back end of last season to test Rashford and Martial. He played Rashford down the middle, he played Martial on the left, and these are dead rubber games where you expect him to step up and say, right, you know, we've got an FA Cup final here, I want to stake my claim in the team. And neither of them bothered. And this is what I'm talking about, dedication and effort. Perhaps Gareth Southgate's man management skills are better than Jose Mourinho's. Perhaps. You never know. Maybe that's probably why Rashford is doing better for England. I don't know. I'm not there. I don't see it. But it frustrates me as a United fan to see Rashford, who burst onto the scene under Van Gaal, scoring goals on his debut in the Europa League, scoring against Arsenal. And you're thinking, wow, this kid has really got something. But has he really progressed that much? I don't see it.
Well, that's the thing. Sorry, that's the thing about footballers in this day and age. I was talking about it today. The top footballers work on their craft. You know, we hear about Ronaldo often enough, but even when he went to Juventus, the first thing they said was, this guy, when he goes to training, he's first, and when he's last to leave. And it's not a case of, oh, he gets there 1 minute before and he leaves because everybody else is leaving and wants to. He trains, he stays behind, he works on what he does. We know his free kicks are not great. His free kicks record is not great, but he still works on it. He wants to get better. He's at the top of the game. He's won 5 Ballon d'Ors. He wants to get better. I don't feel footballers do that enough. A lot of footballers, anyway. A lot of footballers don't do that enough. Basketballers do it. You know, they have a poor season. They work on their game. We're not saying when the season's off and you've got a rest period, just go and work your ass off. Of course, you've played a whole season, take your time and have a break. But periods within that time, when you're going hard, working in the gym because you want to go and show your muscle on Instagram, instead of doing that, why not train? You know, if you feel like I'm not good at hitting the ball clean, why not go and just practice on stuff like that? That's what helps you improve as a player. I don't feel players do that enough, and that's why a lot of these players are not as good as people make them out to be.
Basil, what do you make of Winks? Because I think he had a pretty decent game, and he seems to be a very reliable player, very sound, good on the ball, comfortable. kind of like a 7 or 8 out of 10 player every week, isn't he?
Yeah, Winks is a very good player. I think one thing I like about Winksy is that he has a good football brain. I think he's one of those players that when he receives the ball, he sort of knows what he wants to do with the ball. And I think if you compare it to his other compatriots, Henderson and Dyer, when they receive the ball, they have no idea what they want to do with the ball. You put a bit of pressure on them, they're losing the ball or playing the ball backwards or sideways because before they receive, they haven't had a picture as to what is going on in the pitch, where players are, who's moved, and where to put the ball in next. And I think that's why I like Winks. My only issue with Winks is that the injuries he needs to sort out. He hasn't played, or I wouldn't even say he hasn't started enough Spurs games, and I think that's where it starts to count against you on the international scene because you don't really get into a rhythm, you don't really find yourself, and I think. At England, what we're trying to do is create a bed where players can sort of find themselves and feel free. But I think that should come from the first team football at your club. I think when you come on the international scene, you should already feel like you've arrived. It should come second nature for you to sort of play the rhythm that you want to play because you're used to it in your first team. You're used to that playing for your club. I like Winks. I think he's a decent player. I think he needs to get more games underneath his belt. I think he's under the right manager, Pochettino, who's going to help him and guide him. And I think he can have a real big future at England, provided that he's partnered with the right players.
That's a fair point. All right, let's move on to Wales. I know Rodri isn't here. Still waiting for him. Rod, if you're listening. So I'm going to pose this question to you guys because obviously Mr. G isn't here. Now, as you guys know, Wales used their international friendly against Spain to experiment, inverted commas, although it was hardly experimenting in Amsterdam. I'm sure we all know about that. Can you guys tell me what any head coach or player can actually learn from a crushing 4-1 defeat against Spain, who, as we said before, were quite underwhelming?
Absolutely nothing. I don't know
Learn how to console them, I guess.
Well,
Learn how to pat them on the back and say you'll be all right.
One of those. It was Spain, so don't worry. You're Spain. No, I don't like that kind of stuff. I've always said when you want to blood young players, you need to do the perfect mix of youth and experience. Cyrus Ferguson was my favourite for that because whenever Man United had a young player coming through, Cyrus Ferguson would always rebuild his teams, but you never saw him buy 5 18-year-olds and say, yep, you're in the team and let's go. Or at least between the ages of 18 to 21. You had your guys within their peak, maybe guys over 30, maybe one or two, and you had your perfect mix of people that are winners. They've won something. They experienced winning a game and winning a trophy. And when they're in a tough situation, the mentality that it takes. Now, these guys went up against a top team in the world and they got absolutely destroyed. And there's nothing you can learn from that because you're going to come out of the game saying, yeah, it was an experienced play against Spain. That's something I'd expect a fan to say if they won like a raffle and the experience was you get to go and train with the Real Madrid players because you're learning something. You guys are trying to make it in the game. And to make it in the game, you need to be taught the right way. If you throw a lot of youngsters into a game and say, there's no pressure, it's just for the experience, it's a friendly, you're playing one of the best teams in the world, they're not going to learn anything from that. It's like bringing on a young player with the last 5 minutes of the game. What the hell are they supposed to do? They're not going to do anything, So I understand that, and Wales is a country where they recently have started to blood a lot of young players. And Padu being one of them, he's a very good player. And I understand that they're trying to build for the future, but there's a gradual process to it. You don't just put these guys in and let them go and enjoy themselves on the pitch. They need to learn how to compete against these guys because that's how the Spanish players learn. That's how they got to their level. They played with these older guys, and then when it was their time to play, the older guys weren't there for them anymore. Okay, you're here now, you've arrived, do your thing. So they got to find a different way to blood these young guys, not put them on the pitch to get slapped 4-1 at home.
For a one-man team, I think that's the biggest issue. And, without Bell, there is no real star factor at Wales. People try to say Ramsey, but I've always said this. Ramsey's an average player who considers himself a 4 Lampard. and that's what I call it. And he
I
does even
love that.
Wow.
and he does, and this has come from an Arsenal fan, and he doesn't even score that many goals anyway. Like I
I
said,
love that.
and the issue is that the fact that they're playing Ampadu in midfield, who doesn't even play for Chelsea, that shows you how they're having to scrape players to build a team. Yeah, for me, yeah. Well, when Wales don't have Bell, they're nothing, and then they try to look at the likes of Rams and say he has the quality. He doesn't even have the quality for Arsenal, so I don't know what they're hoping for at Wales. Yeah, he scores a few goals for Wales, but he lacks the basics that a midfielder needs, which is the ability to control a game, ability to pass the ball, move, keep things ticking along. His first thought is always, how can I get into the box to score goals? And he absolutely um, forgets his midfield duties, and that's because he doesn't have the basic qualities of a midfielder. I mean, what is his biggest strength apart from arriving late in the box to score goals? He's not the greatest passer. He doesn't, he holds onto the ball too much. He makes the wrong decisions. And yeah, and I look at that Wales squad and I say I'm not surprised that they're where they're at. I mean, they have the likes of Allen playing for them, who they tried to compare him to Xavi at one point. I was like, really?
I think that was Brendan Rodgers' ego, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because, Brendan Rodgers can speak a little bit of Spanish, albeit poorly. So, oh look, here he is.
Yeah,
Hey,
pal.
Hello, young man.
You all right?
Yeah, good yourself.
Yeah, good, mate.
Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right, yeah.
We're just saying how great Aaron Ramsey is and how he should be nominated for Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, I won't go that far.
Tell me something, Rod. We were just discussing this. How can any head coach or any manager learn from a 4-1 spanking in a game against Spain?
Well, you'd expect them to play the same way if they're winning 4-1, but you see what type of characters your players are. Do they still want the ball? Do they still want to play, and they're still putting in the effort? But it's always going to be tough. We're playing against Spain. They haven't been beat for 36 games. I know England have gone out there and beat them, but Wales are a small country. We haven't got the players that have England got. We haven't underachieved like England have over the years. We've probably overachieved in talking about the Euros a few years ago when we topped the group that England were in. Even though they beat us, we still topped the group. But so we've overachieved and England underachieved. But it's always going to be difficult. It's always going to be difficult. You're giving young players that are not playing in the teams like Ampadu, even though he looks like a decent player. He's never going to get a chance at Chelsea. Ramsey, he's okay. He's not the player that people say he is. And it's the same old. If the big players aren't there, then we're gonna struggle.
That's a fair point. The thing is, when you look at Euro 2016, wasn't it? And I remember how happy you were and buzzing the whole competition. Even when Wales lost, you were like, you know what, we got this far, and it was a great achievement. Things that I don't know what people expected from Wales after that. Chris Coleman did a superb job, but I still think a lot of that was Gary Speed's work, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, he set the foundation, and then obviously Gary Coleman took it on. When you get a great team spirit, like England showed in the World Cup, it takes you a long way. And then when you've got the class of Gareth Bale, you've always got a chance. And so, it got into the semi-finals. Obviously, they got beat off Portugal, and rightly so because they were the better side. But I haven't seen. It's the first time I've ever seen Wales in a Euros or World Cup competition. So I was just happy to see him playing in that, and to reach the semi-final was just great. We've obviously overachieved, and it was a great time. But obviously, to go on from that, it was always going to be difficult. It's like a Sir Alex Ferguson. It's always going to be difficult. Someone go after him. It's going to be difficult for someone to follow Arsene Wenger, even though he's had a great start. It's still, what Arsene Wenger won. All right, he stayed there 5 years too long, but he's still a great manager, and it's always going to be difficult, whoever takes it on. But you've got to give youth, which is the way to go, because we've got some good youth players there, and see where it takes us.
For a split second, I thought you said Gary Coleman earlier, and I thought, anyway, it must have been Gary Coleman managing Sunderland because.
Who you talk about, Willis?
There you go, good one. Basil, Scotland, they fell 2-1 in Israel on Thursday before a traumatising 3-1 defeat at the hands of Portugal. I don't think there's much you can say about Scotland, mate, other than they're awful. Credit to Portugal, though. They cope very well with that Cristiano in Poland and Scotland. What do you make of this new look Fernando Santos side? It's not the negative Nellies as they were in the Euros.
No, it is. I think they're trying to find a new way of playing. They're trying to bloody new players. So the likes of Bruma, who plays for Leipzig, came in. You know, I think he's a very good talent. You know, they have the likes of Sanchez, who seems to have found his form at Bayern Munich this season. And I think they're trying to cope with life outside of Ronaldo. And I think more effort's been going on the training ground in terms of phases of play, in terms of the direction the team are going to start playing. I mean, I watched a bit of the highlights of the Scotland v Portugal match, and they seem very positive going forward. Now, I'm not too sure whether that's because of how much they've worked on the training ground or just how poor Scotland were on the day, but it looked a decent Portugal side. Obviously, we would have to see how they get on with their qualifying campaign for the next Euros, and if they get to the Euros, how this new look team will perform, because that will probably be Ronaldo's last tournament for the country, maybe.
Spot on, mate. Marko Arnautovic scored Austria's win against Northern Ireland, and former Man City striker Edin Dzeko netted a brace tonight, which means Michael O'Neill's men have been relegated to Group D1 after a 2-0 loss in Bosnia. It was D1, D2. It's like key stage 1, key stage, I don't know. Another forward with a bit of a screw loose, Arnautovic, not Dzeko, played a huge part in the Netherlands 3-0 against Germany. Sorry, I'm just losing my marbles here. Arnautovic, he hasn't got a screw loose, has he? No, he does, doesn't he? Anyway, I'm talking about Memphis Depay here. He's got a bit of a screw loose. I don't know if you've seen his dress sense, Kojo. He scored one and played a part in the other 2 goals against the Germans. Now, we've spoken about him at great length on the show in the past, but what do you make of this lad? I mean, is he another bipolar performer?
Because I've always been a fan of Memphis Depay, I've never been critical of him. The only criticism I had of him when he was in England was the way he bulked up. I think he went to the gym way too much and became too big. He's still a very good player, and what he's done at Lyon is he's almost become a striker, and his goal return is starting to improve, and he's starting to read the game better. I think he just needed to go somewhere where he could let loose in terms of how he is and learn to adapt to different situations. I don't think he was going to do that Man United. I think that for him, the pressure was a bit too much at the club because he was given this number 7 shirt. You know, again, a lot of players don't like that. I mean, Antonio Valencia crumbled after 1 season. So I've always liked him, and I'm happy that he's starting to show the form that I've always felt that he could show. I'm not surprised by his uprising. I'm really not surprised. He's always been a good player. I think he's found a good level of consistency, which is about time, because he was doing that at PSV, didn't find that United. Took him some time at Lyon, but he's starting to show it now. And more importantly for the Dutch as well, because the Dutch need someone as a face of the uprising of the Dutch again. They're falling off quite badly, and you've got Van Dijk at centre back, who is obviously a top leader and a top defender. And now you've got him leading the charge, scoring and assisting. And I'm just happy that he's starting to show the form that I've always felt that he had. You know, it's good for him, and hopefully he can get a big move again. It might not be us, but I feel like he's got a big move in him and can be at the top of the game.
Yeah, I mean, my main fear for him is that he's got a case of charismaitis, in the sense that, you know, Ricardo Quaresma had so much natural ability, raw talent. You know, we saw it time and time again at Porto. He was ripping teams apart, doing well in the Champions League. But then when he moved to, you know, your Inters, your Chelseas, he didn't settle at all. But then when he moved to like a lesser team, no disrespect to Besiktas, he's been fantastic there. So I don't know if Depay is that kind of player, you know, whereby he plays for a massive club in United, and he just cannot put in any performances. But then he goes to Lyon, where he's a bit more relaxed, less pressure, and he turns it on.
Yeah, exactly. But this is the thing. As a footballer, you got to learn how to deal with the pressure at some point, because if you want to make it, someone like him, he's always said that he wants to make it at the top of the game. He feels he can play for Man United. He feels he can play for Real Madrid. If you feel you can do that, then when the pressure's on, you have to deliver. And that starts at your club, at Lyon. Because if another guy that Memphis didn't start at Lyon, but Benzema started at Lyon. And at his young age, he was performing under pressure. And at Real Madrid, until last season and maybe the season before, under pressure, he was there for Madrid, assisting Ronaldo, the key moments, being there for the club. So, if you want to make it to the top of the game, that's what separates you from Lyon to Real Madrid, is the fact that you, at the pressure moment, you show up, you do something. We look at you and say, yeah, I can trust you to do it. So he needs to find that form.
Are you listening, Wilf Zaha? Basil, Wijnaldum scored a lovely individual goal, which took us back to his time at PSV, where he was a battering ram in midfield. We might as well call him Moses now, given the German defence parted like the Red Sea.
Wouldn't go that far. Wijnaldum, I don't know. He's one of those players. I just don't know how to pinpoint him. I just don't know what he is because of how inconsistent he's been at Liverpool. I mean, there's times he reminds me of just another version of Granit Xhaka in midfield. And I'm not even going to go into a dissertation as to the type of player Granit Xhaka is and what I think of him. Just now I don't rate Granit Xhaka. And there's times in certain games where he looks like the consummate, a midfielder, great performer. And he's one of those players. I just don't know what his best position is. I mean, technically, he's a very good player, as much as most Dutch players are. But I just don't know what his key strength is. Whether it's shooting, whether it's passing, whether it's reading the game. I couldn't give you what his best attribute is. He's had a decent start to the season. I give that to him. And I don't know. He seems to be more freer when playing for Holland. He seems to, drive a bit more. He seems to do a bit more with the ball. He seems to, have the freedom of the park to roam about and put himself in positions where he can sort of affect the game and also do damage to other teams. But he looks great against Germany. And funny, Germany don't have Mesut Ozil to more as pinpoint as a scapegoat this time they lost. And it'll be interesting to see, even going to Germany, it'll be interesting to see who they sort of pinpoint as a scapegoat for this defeat.
Well, he's probably doing well for the Netherlands because he hasn't got a German lunatic screaming at him every 5 seconds. Could be that. Speaking of Germans, Rodri, I don't know if you remember in Scooby-Doo when the villain was captured and they took off his mask to reveal his true identity. I was kind of half expecting that to happen when Germany's head coach, Jogi Löw, said, "Why are we not scoring? That's difficult to answer. We have clear chances." That kind of statement is a bit too familiar for me. Was it actually David Moyes disguised as the Germany head coach? What a strange thing to say.
Yeah, I think it's a strange one because he's been successful, but in the last couple of years they've looked woeful. So, and it's weird for a Germany side because you're usually very efficient, very well organised, and they look all over the place in a minute. So, you'd expect a manager that's been there that long, they'd be all know the jobs and they look all over the place. So maybe it's time for a fresh face and a new change.
See, this is the thing, and I know a lot of people are going to get on my back for this, but I don't rate him at all. And I know people are going to say, "Oh, yeah, but they won the World Cup." But let's be 100% honest. That German team then, they were an utter machine. They tore teams apart. I mean, ask Brazil. I mean, they haven't been the same. I think, only 2 players have survived that. The rest of them haven't played for the national team since. So the Germans did a number on the Brazilians in their own backyard. And I don't know. It just seems that, Jogi Löw, he got the job because he was Jurgen Klinsmann's assistant. That's pretty much it, wasn't he? He came in, they were mates because they went to some coaching course and they became buddies. He hasn't won anything at club level as a manager. I think he managed Leverkusen for a bit. He was in Turkey for a while, in Austria. Hardly a place to cut your teeth. I think it's the same. It goes back to what we said about Luis Enrique in Barcelona, where he had a ready-made team there. And it just shows now that the Germans are in disarray. Bayern Munich are dog shit at the moment, let's be fair. And again, I said on the Playmakers podcast, it just seems that every time Bayern Munich struggle, the German national team struggle because their core players are from that team. Now, you've got a guy there who, in my opinion, has got the personality of a grapefruit, and he's more famous for picking his backside than smelling his hands. You do a coaching course on that. I don't know. Kojo, you're a coach. When you see someone like Jogi Löw getting national team jobs like that and then failing so miserably, for a defense of a World Cup, what does that make you feel?
I mean, he's had his success. He's fallen off. He looks like a manager that doesn't have a clue. He doesn't know what to do. And this whole thing about this guy can't fit into my system, this guy can't fit into my system, I do not buy into any of that. For me, it's absolute nonsense because once you select a squad, it's your job as the manager to find a solution where you find the right balance. And then you tell the players, okay, this is the formation, this is what we're going to do. This balance will work if you do this, this, and this. That's when they have to go and execute it. He doesn't have a clue. He doesn't know. He just doesn't look like he knows what to do with the team. And then his generals like Muller and Kroos, these guys are underperforming now. So he looks very, very indecisive of what he's doing and then saying stuff like, I don't know if he was putting the full blame on Sane, but saying, Sane missing big chances like that is the difference between blah, blah. He's missed chances, of course. And yeah, you can talk to him about it and say, you got to do better. But again, you have been the guy complaining about he doesn't fit into your system. If he doesn't fit into your system, don't forcefully play him. Regardless of what anyone's saying, you don't put a player into your system because people are saying play him. You play the player because it works. And he just looks like he doesn't know what he's doing. So if picking was it his bum, he said? Or
bum, his nose, everything. Any part of his body.
Oh yeah, if he got to stop doing that. There's cameras watching, You can do it at home, but not.
on that Sane thing, for any coach to say that you can't fit in my system, he's either an idiot or he's a liar.
Nah, do you know what? I'm going to say something, and at the risk of being sued here, this is just me guessing. So this isn't fact. It's an opinion. It's an allegation. So don't sue me, Man City. But I get the feeling before the World Cup, the Germans found a little something in his blood because he was injured at Man City, wasn't he? And,
yeah, I heard that as well. But
Guardiola likes to send his players to a doctor in Barcelona, and they get a 3-month injury and they're back within 2 days. So
yeah, I just don't understand. I just can't comprehend him not being in a 23-man squad. It just doesn't make sense. And for any coach to say he doesn't fit in the system, he's either covering or he's an idiot.
They chose Julian Draxler over him, for Christ's sake. Now, Julian Draxler is probably the most overrated player this decade. I'm sorry, I don't get it.
Yeah, like I say, it's a strange one. But I heard them stories as well. But you've got to be careful because you don't know where these sources or these stories come from.
Yeah, there you go. Right, so let's move on. We've done almost 3/4 an hour. Bloody hell! Wow. Right, in other news. Why can I hear myself? I don't like the sound of my voice. Anyway, in other news, Thierry Henry begins his managerial career at the club where his pro career began, AS Monaco. The Arsenal legend signed a 2.5-year deal and replaces Leonardo Jardim, who was sacked on Monday. Kojo, seems like a win-win situation for Henry. Monaco are third from bottom in Ligue 1 with 6 points from 5 games and 1 win in all competitions so far. It can't get any worse for Henry there, can it?
No, the king has returned home. So, the pressure isn't on. It's one of those ones where you just have to look at it and say, okay, yeah, where they are on the table, they've had a hard time. And the thing with Monaco is every time they've had a level of improvement because they've had like an embarrassment of young players coming through and just shining for them. Bit by bit, they've been stolen away because that's what they are. In that club, in that country, Monaco are literally a stepping stone. You got everybody else, you got a stepping stone, and then you got PSG. You got the team that everyone wants to play for in France. So
they were going to struggle regardless, but now it's really hit them. They don't know what to do. So bringing back Henry was very important. Very, very important for, I think it was like it's a morale boost for the club. You've brought back a hero. You've brought back someone who they believe in, someone they feel they can trust. And for him, yeah, it is a win-win because there's no pressure. You've come into a side, they're struggling, they're not good enough. What can you do with this team? If he performs and they climb up the table and they get into Europe, fantastic. If they don't finish in the European position but they don't get relegated, it's a decent start. If they get relegated, who knows what they'll do. But for him, I feel like he's hit the jackpot with this club. I feel like he's found the right club to start at and just say, okay, well, I'm here now. This is what we're going to do. This is my project. This is my philosophy. Let's try and run with it. And then we'll see if it works.
Mm. Sorry to interrupt you there. A gentleman or gentle person, I don't know what they are, Hunger Games in the chat says, Nations League is crap. Yes, if you're listening at the beginning, I said it's an abortion. There, I said it. Okay, but we're reviewing it. So if you don't like it, then go to another fucking channel. Right, Basil, while we're on the subject of Frenchmen or French players, Arsenal defender Laurent Koscielny announced his retirement from international football and had a swipe at Didier Deschamps in the process. Now, he said, Deschamps called me once on my birthday in September. Otherwise, no. Lots of people disappointed me, not only the coach. Mate, look, let's be honest. Would a 33-year-old Koscielny ever get back into this vibrant French team? I highly doubt it. How would you sum up his career for both club and country?
First and foremost, I think Koscielny just been bitter that he wasn't part of the World Cup victory celebrations. As he said, he's 33 years old, and he definitely wasn't getting back into that French team, and he was definitely nearing the end of his career. I mean, he's got a chronic Achilles problem. So, and Achilles is probably the worst type of injury you want to get. Summing up his career, both for club and country, I think he's done okay for club. He's been a good servant for Arsenal, but he's been prone to so many mistakes that those things sort of taint your career as a whole. Because I said, you can talk about the brilliance of Koscielny, but there are also the negatives that a lot of non-Arsenal fans can bring up about Koscielny. I think in terms of country, he's done a decent job for country. In fairness, considering that he was playing for Lorient before he joined Arsenal at League 2 or their second division, and he's managed to, play for Arsenal, finish in the top four, win FA Cup trophies with them, and also lead his country to a Euro final. He's done well. I think he's had a decent career both for club and country. Would I consider him a top-tier defender? Probably not. I would say he's been a decent defender over the course of his career at Arsenal. That's just me being brutally honest. I think he's prone to switching off. He's prone to lacking concentration at key moments, and that has cost Arsenal games. It's also cost France games too in the past. But I think, I mean, his comments surprised me. I'm like, are you really expecting calls or regular contacts from managers and players when they're injured? I didn't even know that was a normal thing, if I'm being brutally honest. I honestly don't know what he was expecting from Deschamps. I mean, he should be happy he even called him on his birthday. I mean, it just reeks of like the whole Yaya Toure situation where he cried that Man City didn't give him a cake on his birthday or something like that. I mean, I just don't know what all this... I mean, I saw the interview, I saw him tearing up, and I just like, what on earth is this? I mean, just be a professional footballer, recover and then play your football. I don't know what he's seeking from this outburst, if I'm being brutally honest.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm not going to lie. Since getting absolutely bullied in the Euro 26 final by, what was that fella's name? Was it Eder? Was that his name?
Yeah.
He absolutely brushed him off like it was a packet of quavers. He hasn't been the same player since. But you alluded to it earlier with the whole Achilles injury. I remember when Koscielny first came to the Premier League, it took him a bit of time to get settled. But, he was absolutely rapid, wasn't he?
Yeah.
First 15 to 20 yards is quite quick. And, as we saw with other players like Van Nistelrooy, for example, getting an Achilles injury, you lose a yard of pace and you lose another yard. The next thing you know, you're, Laurent Blanc, but not as good. So
with that Koscielny thing, I haven't been injured a lot in my playing career, so I wasn't really injured a lot. But when you are injured, you have managers that still get you involved and still like speak to you. But you have other managers that just like totally write you off and just don't even talk to you until you're back in contention. So it's like said there, it should be a bit more professional. You know, your country just won the World Cup. Fight for your place and get back in there. All right, he's not called you or he's not give you a birthday cake or whatever. Just fight for your place and get back in there. And I'm sure he would do. But you know, he's obviously these French lads are a bit touchy, aren't they?
Yeah, I agree with that.
You never got injured because you never ran.
You're joking, aren't you? Constantly running.
You must have Guardiola's doctor's number on your speed dial then.
Yeah, it wasn't running from on the field. I was running from the police at back then.
Steady.
It was a long time ago.
Steady. Right, Koscielny isn't the only Arsenal player who's making a big decision about his career. Aaron Ramsey has, according to reports, had talks with Manchester United about a potential move in the summer. The Wales international can sign for any club for free in January as his contract is up. With United being unable to let go of close to 10 players next summer, signing free agent Ramsey could be a goer. Rod, firstly, what do you make of the news? And if true, would Ramsey be a good signing in your opinion?
We touched on it last week. I'm not too keen on him. Yeah, he's a good player. Yeah, he scores goals. But he's injured too many times. He doesn't play 30, 40 games a season. I don't think he's done that once for Arsenal. Yeah, he's had a bad injury, but that was a long time ago now, and he still seems to pick up little niggly injuries. Don't get me wrong, when he plays, he's effective and he scores goals, but, you know, who were the 10 that we're getting to get rid of? Is it Jones, Smalling, Mata, Darmian?
Herrera?
So, yeah, he could replace one of them, but it depends. Like I say, if he's playing and he's playing 40, 30 games a season, then yeah, I'd probably take him. Even for as a squad player, he's decent. But no, I'd go a different way if it was me, if I was manager, to be honest, because like I say, I'm not too keen on him.
Fair enough. And
you like him, don't you?
I like him, yeah. I think he's an upgrade on Herrera. I think he's an upgrade on a lot of players that we've got at the moment.
Yeah, well, like I said, he would be. But would he be playing every week in, week out? That's the worry I have with him. Yeah, good player, but he's yet to show me that he can play 40 games a season. Which
my key question I just want to ask the pair of you is, what do you think he'll offer United? Because I personally don't know what he would offer Manchester United or any big team.
Yeah, it's a good point. Where would he play? Whose place would he take?
I'm scared. I'm scared that I see tweets saying stuff like he's going to help unlock Pogba. Because
crying out loud, he's not competing. He's a bloody footballer, for Christ's sake.
Exactly. Ramsey, because Ramsey is a good player, and for free, it wouldn't be a bad deal. It's a free transfer. But I said this on Free Midfield about Man United, is that if he's gonna leave Arsenal on a free, with the apparent obscene wages he's asking for, there is only one club I felt that would go and give him that money, and that was Manchester United. He would be a good squad player. That's the most I think he'd offer Man United. I think he'd be a good squad player because he's a good player. He's got an okay goal scoring record at Arsenal's okay. He's not a creator, so he's not gonna try and do something magical for us.
That's the worry I've got. We need a creator. He's not a creator. He's a Jesse Lingard, a poor Jesse Lingard, in my opinion. I think Jesse Lingard's a better player.
Yeah, but only because you like that.
Pardon? Because what? I know he's done that. Usually I'd go with the Welsh lad, but just that's my opinion. I think Jesse Lingard's come on leaps and bounds in the last 2 years, and he would play 40 games a season because he's got the body for it, and I just prefer him better than Ramsey, even though Ramsey's Welsh, and maybe I'm still bitter that he turned us down for us. I don't know, but he's I just wouldn't go that way. Like, we need a ball player. We need a person who can. We need a John Joe Shelby, a player that can do that. I don't know where he is in the world, but that's the type of player that we need.
Yeah, but the thing is, Rod, to be fair, I think with Ramsey, he's at this age now where he's got the experience in the Premier League. He's been at Arsenal for what 10 years now, if not less than that. How long has he been at Arsenal now?
That's been about 10 years, hasn't it?
Yeah, since he was 17.
Right? And to be fair, let's be honest, right? He's been Arsenal's most consistent player over that decade, has he not?
Yeah, he has. But what? How many leagues has he won in that?
Has he?
I question whether he has been.
Well, yeah, that's fair enough, and that's your opinion. You're well entitled to it. But the way I see it is that I like him. I think he's energetic. I think he's a box-to-box midfielder. I think his vision is very good. I think his awareness is superb. The only thing is, can he do can he do it at United? And by that I mean, with the system that Jose Mourinho plays, would that be beneficial to Ramsey? Because let's be honest, under Emery, he's done very well, I think, the games that he has played. And I think that's because Emery is one of these coaches where he likes players to express themselves. And I don't know if Jose Mourinho would allow Ramsey to do it. But then again, he's an admirer of Ramsey, and he's made it obvious in the past that he likes the player. So, I think, possibly, it's going to be, I'd say, the final big contract that Ramsey will get wherever he goes, where he decides to stay.
Maybe I'm not used to all these Arsenal players coming to United. Why are we buying all these Arsenal players? They're not going to tap in 10 years.
It's revenge.
Bringing all these Arsenal players. Sanchez has come, he's Bobbins, and now Van Persie come and did a great job. But he was still at his peak. They had a couple of years left where. This Ramsey, I'm not sure. We'd like to say we need a ball player who can run the game.
Well, I think he's the right link-up player that we need. So if you got Matic protecting the back four, and you got Pogba in behind the front man, I think
Matic is on his way out though. Last year he was brilliant, but this year he's looked really shaky.
He's knackered. He's absolutely knackered, mate.
So
I think just a quick. I think Ramsey also suits like the typical Mourinho type of player, someone who works hard, who's going to bust the gut for the manager. And Mourinho likes those type of players. And I think the reason why we're offloading sort of these players to United is revenge for when you guys gave us Sylvester. I think Wenger was sold a dream back.
That was your own fault. No one told you to sign him.
Wenger was sold a dream back. This was a top class defender, and instead he came to sabotage any attempts we had of competing. And I say this in quotation marks, competing for a title, even though that was never on the cards.
Hold on. You can't complain. We gave you Danny Welbeck as well.
Exactly, that's another one.
We're talking about a multiple Premier League winner and a Champions League winner.
Who? Danny Welbeck?
No, Sylvester.
Yeah, Mikel Sylvester was a great left back and a dreadful centre back.
When you've got good players around, you can get away with a certain couple of bad players.
Yeah,
he was lucky enough to be in that United side.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Rio Ferdinand held him, didn't he?
Well, exactly.
And finally, Diego Maradona rattled the unhinged Messi fanboys with his recent comments about his compatriot. He said, he's Messi when he plays for Barcelona. Messi is Messi when he wears the shirt. He's another Messi with Argentina. He's a great player, but he's not a leader. It's useless trying to make a leader out of a man who goes to the toilet 20 times before a game. Diego's comments were made in Sinaloa, where he coaches second division side Dorados. Now, for those of you wondering where you've heard that name before, Sinaloa is the Mexican state that drug lord El Chapo named his cartel after. Gentlemen, Diego rarely holds back and is really entertaining, although I can't help but think he's turning into this bitter old man who has some sort of obsession with Messi. Am I wrong?
You know what? When I heard it, I thought he was on the right track a little bit with the whole Argentina Messi thing, because this idea that Argentina do not advance much without Messi, which I think is fair to some extent. But then for Argentina in the key moments when they've needed someone to rise and win the game for them, especially in Copa finals in the 2014 World Cup final, Messi was missing. That's just how it was, and it can happen. You can be a top player and go missing. It can happen. But the whole going to the toilet 20 times and all that kind of stuff, the guy's got, that's crazy. Why would you say stuff like that? I don't understand where that's come from. Has he seen him go to the toilet 20 times before a game? I mean,
maybe he's
very, very.
Maybe
crazy.
he's trying to say that Messi has IBS. I don't know.
Well, he's been manager before. He might have seen him.
Is he? Maybe true, very true. Maybe he's worried that people feel like Messi's got the better legacy than him because people say Messi's the greatest player. Maradona might tell you, no, you're wrong. I am, because before the names were Maradona and Pele. Those were the top two. Now Messi's name's been thrown in there. You've had other names thrown in there. Ronaldo, both Ronaldos that people will say. Maybe I feel a bit of it is maybe he feels threatened at the fact that people are saying you are not Argentina's best ever player.
That's disappointing because Mr. Miyagi would never do that to Daniel San, would he?
Nah, he wouldn't. He wouldn't.
He taught him the wax on, wax off. He taught him the crane. You know, come on now. Just because
he wants you to succeed, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That's a shame. That's a shame. Rod, what do you make of that?
The toilet thing, I have no issue with because, you know, everyone has their own little nervous or little things, little rituals before the game. And I'm pretty sure it's not 20 times. It's probably 2 or 3. But, yeah, you know, Maradona's opinionated and he's given his opinion and that's it. You know, if you ask Messi who was the best, he'd probably say, I don't care. Where Maradona would probably say, yeah, it's me, because that's the type of character he is. And probably Ronaldo would say, yeah, it's me. They're the type of characters they are. You know, it's different times. It's totally different times. Back in when Maradona played, it wasn't elite football and club football that you get now, where the Champions League is probably the best competition in the world, and Messi's lit it up for 10 years. So I don't think you can compare the internationals. Yeah, it's Argentina. He's not done as well as Maradona, but you know, did Maradona do as well as Messi as a club player? You can arguably say yes, because he went to Napoli and changed them into winning side. So, but they still had good players around him. But you know, it's just one of them that someone will say Messi's better, someone will say Maradona's better. It's just different, all about opinions, and this is what the game's about.
You see, this is the thing. Like in Argentina, Maradona is practically God, right? He's closest to God in their eyes.
Well, he'd be God he's God in Wales, in Wales as well after that handball.
True. But you wouldn't see, I don't know, a Maradona statue being decapitated in Buenos Aires like with Messi, would you? And there's this...
No, but that's from I think from Maradona being an Argentinian boy. He loves where Messi's Barcelona. As soon as he couldn't get out there quick enough, and you know the people, they see that and they seem to swarm towards Maradona because he seems to be the person of the people. Where Messi, he left Argentina as almost as a child and not really been back there. So that's probably got something to do with that, to be honest.
Basil, do you think Maradona is this bitter old man that'll be sitting in his rocking chair in about 10 years' time, or probably 10 weeks' time, the way that he's going, you know, going back and forth, holding a Messi doll? I don't know.
It's funny because, as Rod said, Maradona is very opinionated. This is him. And it's strange that these comments came out because beforehand, he used to defend Messi. He used to talk about Messi being the greatest. Messi's the man to lead Argentina. He used to be in full support of Messi in the past, which is why when I saw these comments, I thought, where's it come from? Is it the fact that you're in Sinaloa, where you have amounts of access to the amounts of drugs that he can take? I don't know whether it was one of those unhinged moments for Diego Maradona, because I was agreeing with him, about his comments about him being Messi in Barcelona and not Messi for Argentina. I agreed with him when he said Messi is a great player but not a leader. I think they try to shoehorn Messi into being this leader when he's not that type of person. Even commercially, they're trying to make Messi this commercial figure when it is not Messi. You know, this isn't Messi. I mean, we rarely see Messi do any interviews or pose his opinion on anything football related or non-football related. So, but the part about him going to the toilet 20 times before a game, I didn't get it, and I think, in the mind of people, he doesn't sound bitter because I think people just see it as that this is just Diego Maradona. Very opinionated, very outspoken. And I guess in the eyes of people, it's like, is Maradona at it again?
That's a fair point. It's just, for me, look, I love Diego Maradona. I think he's probably the best player I've ever seen. I haven't seen him live, like in person, but I've seen him on telly and all that. And the things that he did with the ball and, the way that he kind of just pulled Napoli to that Serie A title is unbelievable. I think that's the last time they actually won it, 89-90, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then obviously Mexico 86, Italia 90 had a great tournament. Okay, albeit they lost in the final, but again, he had a great tournament. And then obviously that incident at USA 94 where he showed his true colours, shall we say?
I think you've got to put it down to he's in Sinaloa. He's testing the local product, and the porter's got him at the wrong time.
But he did that a lot during the World Cup as well, wearing that Colombia shirt before the England game, which rattled a lot of people. Look, Diego is Diego at the end of the day. He's just that embarrassing uncle that everyone has in their family. It's like, Christ, it's him again. But you love him because that's just how he is. But at the same time, it's like, well, look, Leo Messi has been, as you said, Rod, the past 10 years in the Champions League, he's been the best player. So for him to be coming out saying comments like that, I get it that he feels that maybe Messi is more committed to Barcelona than he is for Argentina. But at the same time, when I've seen Messi in games where it matters, like for example that qualifier against Ecuador for the World Cup, the game that they had to win, he scored a hat trick. There's only so much Lionel Messi can do for Argentina. I've been his biggest critic, but at the same time, you got other players like Aguero, Di Maria, Higuain. Higuain is a serial bottler. He's the biggest bottler I've ever seen in my life. And Messi gets all the stick because everyone expects him to change games on his own, which he can do. But how many times has he got to bail him out? For Christ's sake, I know Maradona did it a lot, but Messi.
Do you also think it stems from the fact that when they lost the World Cup, he retired, and then he sort of came back, and then when not the World Cup, was it the World Cup?
Copa America.
Copa America. He retired. Then he came back. Obviously, after the World Cup, he's more or less made himself unavailable. Do you think it stemmed from that it shows that in his eyes, maybe he thinks he's not as committed to Argentina as he should be?
I can kind of see that, but at the same time, he did a U-turn, and why would he have done a U-turn? I don't think money has got anything to do with it. I think for the fact that they neneeded him. I think it's just
a bit of frustration. Going onto the leader point, I think he's a leader. We have leaders in different ways. I remember David Beckham for England. He wasn't a talker, but he led by example, by running about, and Messi does that by his skills and trying to score the goals that he does. And he's quiet, but like I say, he leads on the pitch, and he's always wanting the ball, never refuses the ball, and that's another type of leadership for me, and that's what he shows.
Fair point. Well, I think we'll leave it at that, gents. Thank you ever so much for joining us, Basil and Kojo. It's been great having you guys on the show. Hopefully we'll do this again sometime.
No, thanks for having us.
Wonderful. We'd love to come back on.
Great stuff. Well, before I let you guys go, would you like to tell our listeners your Twitter handle and where we can find you, where we can listen to your superb shows?
You go first, Basil.
Perfect. So you can find me on Twitter at bjacobs14. I do appear on the Free Midfield pod. You may sometimes see me guest appear on the Football Fans podcast too. And just love talking all things football. I'm an Arsenal fan, so I've suffered for almost a decade now. so but things are looking up for my team. I say this with my fingers crossed.
Nice. And myself, my Twitter handle, personal one, is Coach Kojo. And we've got obviously the podcast one, Free Midfield, also part of Footy Says, 40_says on Twitter. You can find that on YouTube. You can find Footy Says, you can find Free Midfield on the FNX network. You can find it on Twitter, SoundCloud, iTunes, and I've been suffering ever since the day Cyrus Ferguson announced his retirement. So that sums me up.
Excellent. Rod?
At Rod James Giggs. I was a member of Viva Red Army, but I've been bumped off it.
No.
I'm joking. I'm winding you up.
We're going to do this again. We're going to do it. Stop it. I was going to do a quiz, but I think we've gone on for like an hour and 10 minutes. So I don't know if you guys want to do a quick quiz.
I'm up for it, I don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Let's do a quick quiz. For those of you still listening, thank you very much. For those of you that are still listening on the pod, you can turn it off because we're going to do a quiz now. If you want to play, let's do it. Anyway, right. So, this is a game that we normally do every week, Rod, as you're well aware. You got 0 points last time. Shame on you. So yeah, this show, sorry, the quiz is actually called the quiz that has no name because I couldn't think of a name for it. So yeah, so for the benefit of our new listeners and Kojo and Basil, I've picked 3 results from the past, and you guys just have to guess the goal scorers. That's it. It's that simple. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. So these are 3 games from Euro 2004. Okay. You guys were alive in 2004, weren't you?
Yeah.
Right, just checking, because I've done quizzes before, and Rod has obviously been around longer than most of us, but other people are, I don't remember that game. Right, okay, so the 3 games. The first one is Germany 1, Netherlands 1. Don't tell me your answers just yet. I'll give you the results, and then you tell me the goal scorers afterwards, yeah? So the first one is Germany 1, Netherlands 1. Yeah. The second one is Croatia 2, England 4. And the third one, Switzerland 1, France 3. Who wants?
The Dutch one, I definitely know is Ruud van Nistelrooy because I remember getting very excited Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Right. Okay. So
I have to try and remember the German team though.
Okay. Basil, do you want to guess?
I'm gonna guess Lucas Podolski for Germany in 2004.
Okay. And for Holland?
Yeah, I'll probably go Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Okay. Rod?
Was this guy a striker though? No, he wasn't a striker. Okay, I'm gonna go with either Michael Ballack or I forgot this guy's name. Torsten something.
Torsten Frings.
That's that guy. Yeah, him. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Rod, do you want to guess?
Yeah, I know it. I know Ruud van Nistelrooy and Torsten Frings score because I've seen it. I watched it.
Okay.
Oh, wicked.
Right. Okay. Croatia 2, England 4.
Oh, come on.
Croatia 2 and what?
Croatia 2, England 4.
Wait. 2004, was that Rooney's first tournament?
It was indeed.
Okay, I'm going Rooney because that's my only guess.
You got all 4, yeah?
No. Maybe England we can get 4, but Croatia?
Yeah, I can't remember that 2004 Croatia team. What?
Yeah. I'll say Rooney. Definitely a centre midfielder scored. Did Scholes retire from England that time?
No, he was playing for England that time.
Okay, I'll say Scholes and I'll say Gerrard.
Okay, and how many? Okay, so that's three goal scorers. I'm gonna go. Either did score 4 or did someone get 2?
Okay, I'm getting Michael Owen 1. Rooney 1. Had Scholes 1, and I think Lampard maybe got the 4th one. Croatia. I'm trying to remember who on earth was on that Croatia team. I'm trying to remember who the striker was that year.
No, the reason I said 3 names because I'm sure Rooney scored a double in one of the games he played in.
I don't think it was Croatia. He scored a double in that game.
No,
it would have been. Yeah,
you know
I'm
what?
going for those ones.
With Croatia, I only knew like I don't know 2 players. So you had what? You had the Kovac brothers, right?
That's right. Yeah, Nico and Robert.
Okay. That's the most I can remember, to be honest.
Kovac brothers.
One of them scored. I don't know which one, but I forgot their names. But one of them.
What? Rod, do you want to guess?
Croatia. Boxic.
Oh, did he play the Euros? Don't know.
Oh, wait. Who was that box head defender? Sorry, that's kind of an insult. But there was a guy with he had damn it. Tudor. He played for Juventus, right?
Yep.
Let's throw him in there. He was Croatian, right? I can't remember.
Igor Tudor, yeah. Juventus. Yeah, Igor Tudor.
Yeah, that's 14 years ago. Flipping. Oh, wow.
Okay.
Older than in 2004. I was just hitting secondary school. Oh, man. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I'll say for England, Rooney, Scholes, and Gerrard. One of them scored 2, and then one of the Kovac brothers and Tudor, because those are the 3 that I knew from Croatia at that time.
Okay. Rod?
Wayne Rooney definitely scored 2 goals. I know that.
Okay.
I'm torn between Frank Lampard, Gerrard, and Scholes. I'll go Scholes and Lampard.
Okay.
Scorers, Boxic. I want to go with Boxic.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with, which one should I go with? I'll go with Niko Kovac.
Kovac, okay. Right. Baz, do you want to guess your Croatia players?
Nah. I'm just Fair
enough.
I cannot remember that team whatsoever in 204.
All right. Let's move on to the final game then. Switzerland 1, France 3.
Oh, come on. Stel, what are you doing, man? This is... Okay, Switzerland versus France.
What was the 2 brothers called?
Switzerland 1, France 3.
One was the 10 and one was the centre half.
Or for Switzerland?
They played for Basil, yeah. What were they called?
Oh no. One of them ended up coaching Basel. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Wait, no, I watched that score, didn't I?
In 204.
Is it would it be cheating if I went into my cupboard and just checked my files quickly to see if because I remember watching this game at school.
Check your files?
Like, because I was becoming a big football fan. I started as a kid. I started winning games like Championship Manager and NMA. So I'd write down names. My mom found the file quite recently because I used to get quite excited about football. I remember watching this game in school. They opened up the primary school for us. It was the last day for year 6, so they opened it up for us, and we were allowed to watch the game. But I can't remember if I got the scorers right or not.
That's the name of the game. You got to guess the goal scorer.
Yeah, true. Okay, let's go. Because he's my favorite player of all time, I'm gonna go Zidane because I love Zidane.
Okay.
And because he's my second, well, in my opinion, best ever second top striker behind R9, I'll go with Thierry.
Okay.
But there's 3 goals, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, Trezeguet.
Okay.
If you ask me about Switzerland, I have no clue.
That's all.
I don't think Zidane scored in that game. I'm going Thierry Henry, Trezeguet. Let me give it to. I want to go for centre midfield, but I'm not too sure who. I'm just going to say Wiltord, Sylvain Wiltord. Maybe came off the bench and scored. Switzerland once again.
There's only one name that comes to my head for Switzerland. That's flipping. What's that guy that played for Liverpool? Hencho. Yeah, that's the only guy that comes to my head. Apart from that, I have no idea about their squad, so I'm just gonna give up on that one.
Yeah. Oh gosh, who can I pick? Oh yeah, I've lost it for Switzerland. Don't have anyone in mind so far.
Rod?
Switzerland. I'm going to say I can't remember his name. Though them 2 brothers, what they called?
Murat and Hakan Yakin.
Hakan Yakin. Yeah, I'll go with him.
Okay.
Hakan Yakin. I'll go with Wiltord. Henry. No, Wiltord. No, wait a minute. No, you know what? I'm going to go Christopher Dugarry.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Dugarry, legend.
Wow.
Dugarry, Wiltord, and Henry. He always loved to go, didn't he? Henry.
Okay, excellent. All right, fair enough. So, gentlemen, let's see how we went. So, the first game was Germany 1, Netherlands 1. Kojo got it bang on. Van Nistelrooy and Torsten Frings.
Woo!
Frings took a free kick, which evaded everyone, and it went straight in. It was one of those where it just went across the keeper. And then Van Nistelrooy scored the goal that Van Basten would have been proud of.
Yeah, that's how I remember it.
Yeah, quality finish.
Yeah.
Croatia 2, England 4. Kojo, you smashed it, mate. You got Rooney right, you got Scholes right, you got Kovac and Tudor right. The only one you did that was Frank Lampard. Lampard got the goals.
I got Kovac and Tudor right.
Yep, Nico Kovac.
How
This
on
is,
earth?
no, this is because I just play LMA and I just know these two players. This is not. This is a. This is a. This is a complete fluke. I'm taking it though. Who was the last scorer for England?
Lampard. So
Oh,
for that one.
I went for
Yeah.
the. I went for
So
the team.
Rod got all of England's goal scorers. Oh, well done, Rod. There you go.
What about Croatia?
Huh?
Oh, I said Boxic, didn't I? Fucking...
Yeah, he said Boxic. Yeah, you did. But you got the England ones right, which is good. And Switzerland 1, France 3. Switzerland's goals. Sorry, England. France's goal scorers. Zidane got 1.
Ah,
And Henry got 2.
Henry got 2.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah. And the goal scorer for Switzerland, Jonathan Valanthen. The name ring?
no, doesn't ring a bell.
Valanthen.
Valanthen, yeah. Valanthen.
If I got that right, it would have been definitely a student inquiry.
Yeah, Johan Valanthen. This guy, I remember him. He's about 32, 33 now. He broke into the national team at the time. I think he was at PSV, and they were saying, yeah, he's going to be the next best thing, and yada yada yada. And then he went on loan to Brescia, and he did nothing out there, and then ended up at what's that team? Grasshoppers. He ended up there, and that's all I remember what happened to him after that. But yeah, he scored that Euro 2004. I think it must have been so. Yeah, it was the second youngest player to play in the tournament.
Right. He was a winger, right?
Huh?
He was a winger or something.
I think it was a forward, a right winger. You're right, it's a right winger. Yeah.
Jonathan Valente. I feel like I remember him.
Yeah, the youngest goal scorer ever at the Euros.
Okay.
Yeah, and Wayne Rooney was actually the first to become the youngest, and then he beat him in the same tournament. So yeah, there you go. Can't have it all, Wayne. I'm sorry. Right, guys, this is definitely good night and goodbye. Thank you for your participation. Thanks for letting us know where to catch you guys. Rod, thanks for your time. On a final note, Rod, did you have a pie or fish and chips tonight?
No, I had Chinese tonight.
Ah, that's why you.
Nice.
Oh, chicken.
Nice, excellent. Right, that's it from us. We're on Twitter at Shoot the Defense. We have a Facebook group page. Please feel free to join us. Yeah, and that's it. Thanks for joining us on Periscope. Thank you for joining us on YouTube. And until next time, yeah, take care.